Hello everybody, welcome to this ePay webinar recording. My name is Ian and I'm delivering this session to you. Today I'm going to give you an overview of what ePay is and what it's designed to do. I'm then going to talk through workflows and escalations and how claims are notified to approvers and claimants. I'm going to talk through how to register on the system and how to manage your password, including managing a forgotten password. We'll then go through entering a salary claim, running a report on our own claims, and then for those of you who are approvers at the end, I'll go through how to approve a salary claim. ePay is an online web-based portal that's available over the N3 network in the NHS and also the World Wide Web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It is tablet and smartphone compatible. So if you're going to use ePay on one of those, we recommend using either Google or the Google Chrome app. You'll be using it for salary claims, and it uses reference data from ESR. So for example, we get all of your employee and organization data from ESR and load that into ePay, such as your name of your approver, and your work email address that we use to send you emails about your claims. Things do change over time, so if anything on your ESR record changes, then that will update ePay the day after the change becomes effective. We recommend you do one salary claim per month wherever possible, and there will be an approval deadline on your ePay homepage, as you'll see in the demonstration I'm going to give you. When that's passed, if the claim's approved, we'll run an extract process that will then load the claims into ESR to be paid to you in the normal way after the approval deadline. In terms of the workflows or emails, when you submit a claim as a claimant, it will automatically email your approver on a one email per claim basis. And as the claim within the period set down here, they will get a reminder. So 8 working days after it's been submitted, if the claim isn't approved, the approver will get a reminder. If they still don't approve it after an extra 2 working days, it will actually escalate up to their approver, which we've called the second approver here. So it goes up a level. If the second approver doesn't authorize it after 2 working days, it will go up to the ePay administrators, who are a small group of people who administer ePay on behalf of your organization. They can reassign the claim back to the original approver or to somebody else if there's a genuine problem with these two, and it will go through the second cycle with each stage happening after 1 day because the claim is more urgent. Also, when the claim escalates to the second approver here, they can reassign it back to the original approver if they wish to do so. If your approver is going on holiday, there are what we call substitute approvers that are set up and maintained by the ePay administrator. They can be changed at any time. Approvers will see on their homepage who their substitutes are and who they can substitute approve for. So if an approver is going on holiday, they can see who their substitute approvers are on the homepage and then ask them to cover for them to approve the claims for their team while they're away. In terms of registration, you will be emailed the link to ePay when the organization wants you to register. That takes you through to this screen, and the first thing you would do is click here to register link. You'll need your payslip then to fill in your personal details as shown on the screen. It would then validate what you've entered against what's held in ESR. So you'd start off by putting in the organization number from your payslip, which could be 288 or 390, depending on which organization you're in. Use the magnifying glass to look it up by name. Then enter in your employee number, which is your 8-digit employee number from ESR, and that's also your username in ePay. Then put in your first name as it appears on your payslip, your last name, your date of birth, your NI number, and your home postcode. Then you have one of these capture images. If you can't clearly read what's on the image, click on to refresh it until you can. So click on here until you can read it. Type what you see into the box below without any spaces. It will tell you that the registration has failed. You get 3 chances to get it correct, and on the 3rd attempt, it will block your account for an hour, and it will display an HR email address for you to contact, because it may be your information is out of date. Now, if you did have another 3 goes after the hour has elapsed, so you get 6 chances in total, it would then lock your account down completely, but automatically email your ePay administrator to ask them to liaise with you and unlock the account. You'll also see their email address so you can contact each other and resolve whatever the problem is. But if you've got everything correct, it would take you through to this screen where you could then enter and confirm your password using the guidelines at the top. It will show you your work email address that it will use to send you emails about your claims, and you can then set up 5 security questions and answers to use in the forgotten password routine. At the bottom of the screen, it gives you the details of your main job and the name of your approver that the request will go to. You click Submit Request, tick the declarations and click OK, and then it will automatically email your approver. They will need to approve the registration before you can actually use the system. You'll know when that's happened because you'll get an email like this one that says notification of authorized ePay registration. It will quote your employee number in the body of the email, which, like it says here, is your username. So your username is your employee number as detailed above, and there'll be a login to ePay link as well on the email. If you forget your password when you've been using the system, you can use the second link on the login registration, so you have answers to 2 of your security questions randomly. These answers are space and character sensitive, so 1-word answers increases the chances of getting that correct. You then enter and confirm your password, your new password, after you've answered your security questions, and then you'll be able to log in. And even if you do forget your security answers, you can use the Forgot Your Answer link. That takes you through to this screen where you can request a reset PIN by clicking on the button. It tells you that it's sent you a PIN number on an email that's valid for 1 hour. Copy the PIN number from the email that will look something like this with the expiry time in red. Paste it into the box and click OK. Then you'll be able to set up new security questions and answers to replace the old ones. And you'll then be able to reset your password and log in. The next thing I'm going to do now is just log in as a user into the ePay system so that you can see what the home page looks like. And I just also want to show you that if you get your password wrong, you'll see a message like that. If you get it wrong 3 times, it will block your account for 1 hour. But if that keeps happening, wait for the hour to elapse and then follow the forgotten password routine to reset your password. So here we have a user's homepage. Starting on the top left, it says ePay user, and if you're an approver, it will say ePay manager, but it's one login for whatever you need to do on ePay. System messages for downtime will be displayed here, or any important messages we need to share, and you'll then see your personal details, such as your work email address and your home address. It will show you the details of your base here, and also the name of your approver, in my case David, and below that you'll find the ePay administrator email address. This one is fictitious. Yours will be specific to your organisation to contact for any queries that your line manager can't resolve. You'll have a salary claims link for making salary claims for yourself, and a reports folder as well, and we'll look at what that looks like for approvers later on. Moving on to the NHS logo on the right, use your home link to come out of a screen when you've finished working in it. If you want to practice on ePay without actually entering real claims, you can use the e-learning link. It initially will tell you how to use the e-learning, and there is a module in there on how to enter a salary claim or approve a salary claim that you can use to practice, because it plays like a video and it's also interactive. And in each screen, there's also a help link which will take you to a user guide. So in the salary entry screen, for example, if you click help, it will show you a help file you can use, which we can look at when we get to entry. Accessibility will allow you to change the font size or the color on the screen if you find that easier to read. There's also a link to our website and a logout link to log out. I'm going to use the home link to come out of that screen now, as I was suggesting you do. And then on your page, because you're just using the salary module, you'll have a panel called My Salary Claims, where you'll see the next approval deadline. So this one is fictitious. Your one will be specific for your organisation. And then your most recent claims will appear in the grid with the most recent one at the top. Each claim has a unique claim ID, which is a 10-digit number you can use for raising queries with the ePay administrator. And then the date here will be the date you entered or updated the claim. And then the status we can look at as we get into claiming. There'll be a view link, view button as well to go in and view your claims. Now, when you've been using ePay for a while, you only see the 10 most recent on your home page. So for that reason, you can use the View All Claims button to see all your claims, or the Start New Claim button to start a new claim, which is what we're going to do next. So to start a new salary claim, under that, where it says click Start New Claim. And then in the claim header, if you have multiple jobs, you can choose the job you want to claim against by clicking on the drop down here. It will default to your main job, or what's known as your primary assignment. Also, the name of your approver will display here. And then the claim per month is the key field here, because this is where you can choose the period that you worked. The idea is that claims are always a month in arrears, and we're in the month of March at the time of recording, which has a pay date of April. So if you want to claim for a different month, like in my example, I want to claim for February, I would choose a payday of March. So the key period is the period worked. That's be when you actually did the work. And when you've made that choice, click Next. And for medical and dental staff like yourselves, all of the things you enter into ePay salary claims are in the Other Allowances tab. So we're going to go straight to the Other Allowances tab. The other ones will not show any options available to you to enter. Because you're special, you'll use specifically this tab. And then in the grid, weekends are grey like this, and weekdays are white, bank holidays are a darker grey again. And on the right hand side of the grid, there is an edit button that you can use if you want to create an entry for a specific date. Alternatively, to create an entry, use this maintain button with the green plus. If you use that, it will default to the first of the month. And then you can choose the date that you actually want to claim for by clicking on the drop down. So say, for example, if the first thing I wanted to enter was for the 10th of February, I could choose that date. And then I can then click Add New Allowance on the right. The allowances you see will depend on your terms and conditions. So there are different allowances for each of the organisations going live on ePay. But you will all have an M&D appraiser rate option and waitlist specific options to choose from. So I'm going to begin with an M&D appraiser rate allowance, where you would enter in the number of sessions worked. You can see there the field is called sessions worked. So you enter in the number of sessions you've worked on that particular date. And if it's partial sessions as well, then you enter it in decimals. So 1 3/4 sessions would be 1.75, like that. Click OK. And then to save the entry, you can either click Save and Next Day, or you can click Save and Close. I'm going to use Save and Next Day to move on to Tuesday the 11th. Notice that it's moved me on there. So if the next thing I did was on Tuesday the 11th, I can click the allowance, and this time I'm going to look at the waitlist specific, and we've got the options here for 288 showing here. So we're just going to choose one of these as an example. And again, with waitlist initiatives, you would enter them in sessions. again in decimals if needed. Click OK. And again, you can either use save and next day or save and close. Alternatively, if you were just to change the date, it would also save the entry for you. So if I change it to the Wednesday, you can see it saves the entry. But I'm going to click save and close to show you that the claim has 2 entries on these dates, and it also now has a claim reference number on the top left and a status of entered. If I go back to the home page for a moment, you'll be able to see that your most recent claim will be saved at the top of the grid. So if you wanted to save a claim as a work in progress, it would be saved as entered. You could log out from ePay, come back to it later, and then when you want to add more, just click view on the claim to go back into it. And then go back to other allowances, and you can carry on creating entries. But it will summarize the number of entries that you've made in the summary grid, and on each line you can edit entries, or if you use the drop down arrow, you can also delete them as well. Let's imagine now that this is all we want to claim for this month. I could click the terms and conditions tab, tick the contracted hours to confirm that's my contracted hours. It could also be in sessions, so if you're paid in hours, it was there, and that would be your contracted details, what you normally do every week. If it's wrong, you can use this edit button to send HR an email. But then you tick the declarations and click submit, and there are no warnings on this claim. If you were to see any messages here, like in this audit check section, there may be a warning like a duplicate or something like that. In our case, we don't have any, so if we click OK, it will submit the claim for approval. Now, this is the View All Claims grid. If I use this button here on the right to move it along, it tells me for submitted claims who the claim is with. So the claim's gone to David for approval. If it escalates, the name there will change to the name of the new approver that it's been escalated to. And you can use this grid to see all your claims going way back to when you started using ePay, filtering on status as well. Now, to run a report on a claim, you can use the reports folder on the bottom left of the home page. If I just use claims between dates as an example, this will allow you to run a report that shows you what you've entered for the month of February. And if you run it in HTML format, you can use the links in the report like the one on the right here. And if the question was, have I claimed my appraisal rate for the 10th of February, I can see that it is there. And I've also got close buttons and back buttons I can use because they're inside the report. You can also run these in Excel format as well if you want to save them elsewhere. Now, something else to be aware of is when your approval deadline's coming, if you've got a claim with a status of entered, saved as a work in progress, 5 calendar days before the deadline, including weekends, you'll get a reminder email which you don't have to act on, but it gives you 2 days to submit it for approval. And the reason that we give you 2 days is because when there's 3 calendar days to the deadline, again including weekends, approvers will get a reminder email if there are any claims awaiting their approval. So those are just there to help people move the claims along. They're not mandatory to act on. In terms of cut over and go live, key dates, ePay will be enabled for entry from the 30th of March or when 95% of approvers have been approved. Salary claims for pilot users from March. Hours are to be entered into ePay. Registration for approvers starting on the 16th of March. And registration for claimants is starting on the 23rd of March or the 26th. And then if your March additional sessions are approved by close on the 10th of April, they'll be paid on the 24th of April with your salary. The approval deadline will always be the 10th of the month at 6 p.m. going forward, regardless of what day it falls on. Please also enter one claim per month wherever possible and submit it at the end of the month or the first working day of the following month. So that is the entry section of the webinar. I'm now going to move on to approval. So if you're not an approver, you can close the window now. Thank you for your time. And for those of you who are approvers, I'm now going to log in as the approver that claim has been submitted to. So David will have had an email from the person asking for this claim to be authorised. That will have come automatically through ePay. And because I'm a manager, it says ePay Manager on the top left of the page. It tells me on my home page that I can substitute approve for Caroline Grant, and if I had substitute approvers, it would also tell me there who those are. The items requiring approval panel is there for you to see any recent claims sent to you for approval, and you can use the view link to go into them. But there's also this approved salary claims link down here on the left. As a manager, you can report on your own claims or those of your team in the reports folder. And also for the registrations, when people are sending their registrations through to you, you'll get an email, but you can also click on their name in this section and either approve the registration or reject it. If you did reject it, it might be for something like this. So if you know who the person's approver should be, put it on the email on the rejection reason, because it will quote it on the email to the user, but also to the ePay administrator, so they can reassign it to the right approver. Now, to approve a salary claim, I would recommend using the Approve Salary Claims link on the left down here, because it will give you a list of all the claims that are with you waiting for approval in this Claims Requiring Your Authorization tab here. When you see the claim you want to approve, click Review on the right. And we do have to view every tab. So because medical entries are only in the Other Allowances tab, click on the tabs until you get excuse me, to the Other Allowances tab, and then you can view entries by clicking on them. You don't have to view every entry, it's entirely up to you. And in the Terms and Conditions tab, you've got the option to either approve the claim or reject it. If you did reject it, you would enter the rejection reason here. I'm not going to reject this one though. When you reject a claim, it will actually quote it on the email that sends back to the user, and it rejects the whole claim for them to amend and resubmit. I'm going to approve this one, like so. And when you've got a nice clear grid like this, this means that there are no more claims for you to approve. If you were to approve as a substitute and you were asked to cover for somebody else, you would use this Claims Requiring Authorization by Others tab. Here we can see some rejected claims, and those are shown because any claims that are rejected still appear to approvers until they've been either approved or cancelled. So that way you can make sure users are clearing any claims you've already rejected. You can also approve a claim that you might have rejected by mistake. That now concludes the webinar, so thank you very much for your time. I hope you found it useful. Goodbye.